Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar for Accelerating Analytics for Better Business Insight. I'm Dhananjay Bapat, your host, and I'm here joined by Oliver Hutt, Head of Ecosystems for SAP Data Warehouse Cloud, and by Rich Dill, Enterprise Solution Architect from SnapLogic. Before we move on, let's look at some housekeeping items. The session recording will be sent to all the attendees at the end of the webinar. You can submit questions through the questions box at any time. And at the end, we will share any helpful resources and also answer any questions that you might have. So I want to briefly introduce all our speakers. The first speaker is Oliver Hutt. He is Head of Ecosystems for SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. He has been working for SAP for more than 7 years, and he has seen analytical challenges both from the customer side, from his consulting times, and also internally from the corporate strategy team. Since Q3 of 2019, he is working on building an inclusive ecosystem for the SAP Data Warehouse business, and is looking at enabling line of business users as well as industry-specific use cases so that everyone across the enterprise can lead to confident and superior decision making. Our second speaker is Rich Dill. He is Enterprise Solution Architect with SnapLogic. He is responsible for technical sales as well as post-sales consulting for global strategic partners as well as major accounts of SnapLogic. His current research initiatives include data lakes, multi-cloud, machine learning, and IoT. And finally, I am Dhananjay Bapat from the product marketing team. Here I lead go-to-market initiatives for product releases as well as for partner engagements. Now, the agenda for today, first I'm going to talk about the challenges that many of you are experiencing with respect to your data warehouse solution. Then Oliver will provide an overview of SAP Data Warehouse Cloud and how it can solve many of the problems that you are having. Then I will talk about SnapLogic Intelligent Integration Platform and how it can solve challenges around getting data not just from SAP but also from a variety of third-party sources into your SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. Then Rich will give us a demo on how easy it is to get data from all these third-party applications and data sources into SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. And then finally, I will summarize and talk about some key takeaways. And at the end, we will share these helpful resources and also answer any questions that you might have. So the challenges that today's enterprises are facing are sixfold. The top three ones are the challenges that organizations are facing broadly, and the bottom three are IT-specific challenges. So the first big challenge is data explosion. Companies are collecting more and more data. They are collecting customers' online and offline behavior, employee data, IoT, as well as sensor data. And there is also significant data variety from streaming data, batch, real-time data, event-based data. And the challenges that organizations are facing are around scale, the cost of managing that data, and also performance. The second key challenge is that business teams need immediate insights. Long gone are the days when you waited for your batch jobs to complete to get those insights. Now your business teams, your support teams, sales teams, as well as customer success teams, they all need insights based on real-time data. The third challenge is that data is moving to the cloud. It's not a question of if, but it's a question of when and to what degree. Organizations are adopting more and more SaaS applications. because it's so easy to sign up a subscription rather than get a license. They're using databases and other data sources in the cloud, but at the same time, many of their legacy data is still on premises. As I mentioned, the bottom three challenges are specific to the IT team, and I'm sure many of you in the audience are seeing them firsthand. One is the high cost of traditional data warehouses. So you not only have to buy hardware, but also manage that hardware and software for the traditional data warehouse. You also have to plan for peak capacity. So you are using more resources than what you typically need for your organization. Another challenge is that IT teams are people and budget constrained, yet their task backlog is growing significantly. They now have to integrate hundreds of SaaS applications that your organization has adopted. They also are responsible for meeting those SLAs, and they have to work nights and weekends to reach their goals. And then finally, getting data into the data warehouse is also a big challenge, because data resides on premises, it resides in the cloud, and everywhere in between. It resides in your SaaS applications, in databases, in your object stores. So anyone who is trying to get that data in, they have to understand APIs for all those endpoints to get that data. And that translates to hundreds of hours building these data pipelines and many more maintaining them. Now I want to get quick pulse on the audience today. I want to understand what are the biggest challenges with your data warehouse today. And you can go to the vote section and pick the one that resonates with you the most. Is it A, that your on-premises based data warehouse is costly and hard to maintain? Is it B, a cloud data warehouse is not truly elastic, as a result it is costly and or it's not able to perform well during the times of peak load? Is it C, that it's hard to get data into your data warehouse? Or is it D, other challenge, or E, that you don't have any data warehouse? I'll wait 1 minute here so that we can get everyone's responses in. And that will be a good segue into what Oliver wants to talk about, that how SAP Data Warehouse can help you solve challenges around your data warehouse today. I'll just wait for some time here. And I think we have seen these challenges across the board when we talk to our customers who are using data warehouses. I just want to make sure everyone gets their input in. All right, good. All right, let's just wait 15 more seconds. All right, so it seems like most of you are having challenges with your on-premises based data warehouse, which is not just costly but also hard to maintain. So that means you are using a lot of your developer resources to not just maintain hardware but also software, applying patches, and so on. Oliver, do you see similar challenges when you talk to your customers?
Absolutely. So it's the price point is absolutely always a topic, which is one of the main drivers to the cloud, where the TCO definitely we see decreasing. And especially you get your value earlier. At the same time, I'm super interested in those 28% with other reasons for their challenges. So yeah, looking forward to keep in touch, and feel free to reach out to us so that we can discuss where your pain points are and if we might have a solution, for example, together with SnapLogic for you.
Awesome. All right, up to you.
Perfect. So yeah, also from my side, thanks for joining. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Oliver Huth. I'm the main contact for ecosystem topics in our data warehousing team. I guess I don't need to introduce the SAP that much, as it is a rather mature startup. That being said, we are the most valuable European software company and have a broad portfolio. We're proud of our more than 400,000 customers. And so SAP really comes from the operational software background, so to support companies around the world with procuring data, producing products, selling them, and also delivering all those cross-functions. Quite interestingly, with the acquisition of Qualtrics the last year, we now also embed in our system all the experience data points, so what the sentiment of the customers are, what they say about the product, how the brand resonates in the market, and also what the employees think. And to us, it's very important to bring this operational and experience data together. And the glue for it is for us the intelligence and data management, databases, analytical tool are for us part of this intelligence layer. And while this seems to be like a pretty straightforward strategy, at the same time in the market, we see that mainly the data management needs for analytics remain unmet. So 8 out of 10 analytics projects fail, and this was for us the trigger to rethink our approach and to come up with a new product that we based and centered around 4 challenges that we've seen and that are also on the one hand represented by the votes from the audience and also from the challenges that SnapLogic has as their topics, and I think it's also good that there's some overlap because it helps us to form our win-win value proposition. If we look at the left, the limited data access is a topic that you see throughout the organization. If you go to SAP customers, they complain, and users, they complain about bringing in the non-SAP data. If you go to non-SAP customers or to users of tools that are not from SAP, they would love to have all this S4, C4 data in. And if you want to establish a data-driven culture, you really need to provide them with the data that they need for their analytical challenges. So those limitations are really in for our customers and a huge challenge on their way to really good analytics. At the same time, the time to value is a really important topic. So if your manager comes in and you need to provide a certain analysis, then you don't have that much time to set up a project, to take care about all the infrastructure, but you need to be up to speed as soon as possible to leverage the tools that you would like to use, so you require an open platform. And you also want to have the latest data, right? So if you look into social media topics, if you look into IoT topics, real-time data is really key, and you cannot wait for monthly batch jobs to run in. And then, as we've seen in the vote from the audience as well, the high entry cost, the long road until you really see the value that a certain business case showcased to you is simply too high, and this is a huge challenge for our customers and our prospects that we took as the motivation to develop SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. In addition, and this is also something why we really embrace our partnership with SnapLogic, is that for the development of Data Warehouse Cloud, we took in 2 positions and perspectives. The one is the one from the business user. So the business user that currently uses Excel, that might use SAP Analytics Cloud, that uses a non-SAP analytics tool, has certain limitations what he can do, right? These are mostly reporting tools where they can work with data that is being provided by IT, but if they want to add further data sources, if they want to do further data management tasks, if they want to see the data lineage, for example, or just want to handle bigger data sizes, they have limitations. And with Data Warehouse Cloud, we want to overcome those business user-centric challenges and tailored, on the one hand, Data Warehouse Cloud to this audience, and then at the same time, we see in the same organizations that the IT department, the IT users would like to cater to the business user demands to help them reach their goals, but at the same time, they have certain governance goals that they have. They face a war of talent. They have, as we've also previously heard, more diverse and more complex IT landscape to handle, and to really bring this into the analytics layer gets more and more difficult, and that's why we want to support this target group as well. The result is Data Warehouse Cloud, and if you remember 4 things about Data Warehouse Cloud, it should be the following 4, is exactly what we just said. We would like to provide a platform where IT and business can collaborate, where they can work towards joint goals, where business gets more freedom, thus also responsibility, that's for sure, but where we can bring those 2 perspectives together and allow people to do the data management tasks that they need to do. Secondly, we're really proud of our database SAP HANA, which allows us to have a fast database for Data Warehouse Cloud, which allows us to run analytics on big data loads, and at the same time, it's also SAP HANA in the cloud, so it's directly available if you subscribe to Data Warehouse Cloud. Thirdly, it's a really important point, it's end-to-end, right? So it's one UI where you can integrate your data sources, where you also then see your SnapLogic data, where you can model your data model, where you can and then jump into in your analytics within the same UI, where we can leverage our analytics cloud functionality. And this end-to-end concept is really powerful because it allows the business user to not be confined to the reporting layer, but if he sees that he would like to adjust something, that he wants to have an additional KPI, would like to leverage an additional snap from SnapLogic, he can basically go one layer above in the same UI, adjust the data model, and then jump back to the analytics and really have an iterative approach as we provide an end-to-end solution that, on the other hand, is open, so you can use non-SAP reporting tools if that's your strategy, and you can also use non-SAP integration tools like SnapLogic. Last but not least, and we've heard it as the most important point, it's elastic, right? So you only pay for what you use. You can start with a small setup that is catered to a specific use case, and you can decrease and increase the size of your solution based on your demands, and thus grow with your analytical needs. Now, in the following 2 slides, I would like to present 2 game changers that are important concepts for us that should facilitate you to rethink your analytics strategy, and that heavily supports the topics that I've just mentioned. And the one thing is our spaces management. It's a central architecture tool of Data Warehouse Cloud, which allows you to represent your organization in your data warehouse. So you can have a space, for example, for master data, where IT takes care of integrating either via replication or in a federated way to integrate your master data, and then they can share this master data, for example, to the HR space or to the supply chain space, where then the governance of this master data is ensured, but the business user, the user of the supply chain space, for example, has the freedom with his space to integrate his own relevant data sources, for example, use SnapLogic and use Snap to bring in Cooper data to combine it with the Ariba data if they have different procurement solutions and run their holistic supply chain reports. If you design, or if you think that to the end, this also allows you to no longer have the costs for the data warehouse in a central manner, but have it decentrally and really allocate the budget to the department, and so that really the value is really close to the costs that occur, and hopefully the value exceeds the cost. The second game changer is really down to the topic of the frequent changes and these two audiences that we want to, on the one hand, bring together and at the same time also cater to their needs. And this is the separation between business layer and data layer. So on the one hand, from an infrastructure side, we have the data layer where you can take care for bringing in all the data, doing the joins, doing your formulas. And on the other hand, we have the business layer where the business user is empowered to define how his business works. And we are pretty convinced that the business is more stable than the data layer. So if you want to define what your customer is, what an address is, how your products are looked at, what your brand definition is, that the business can define with those very stable business objects his view of the business and build his analytics on top and couple those two layers together, which then allows that the analytics you build on the business layer stays stable while the data layer can change. So if the IT organization procures a new HR tool, all the reporting that the business built on top will stay stable, and thus the business is really empowered to build the analytics and their business in the system. If we look at the architecture, I don't want to go into deep, but I really want to point out our openness. So we run on the HANA Cloud. We have our ways to federate it in a federated way or via replication, bring in data, especially from the SAP solutions. But at the same time, with the OpenSQL schema, we are really open to partner up with partners like SnapLogic. I mean, SnapLogic is a leader in the Gartner quadrant for integration platforms, and we're really proud that they work together with us and that they are able to, if you are a SnapLogic customer, that you can basically have Data Warehouse Cloud as your target, which also means that if you already invested in your Snaps, that you can basically reuse them and bring your data into Data Warehouse Cloud, where you then can marry the data with SAP data, for example. And yeah, we'll later also have a demo where you can see that. As we said on the top, we have SAP Analytics Cloud as our main reporting layer to allow this end-to-end scenario. And at the same time, you can also use your front-end tools for your reporting strategy. Last but not least, I would like to cover the use cases that we cover with Data Warehouse Cloud right now. So, and this is also due to the topic of elasticity. So it really allows you to start with your existing infrastructure, like starting with your existing ETL tools or your existing S4 or BW system where you have a lot of logic in, and you can basically put Data Warehouse Cloud as a layer on top where you can enhance this data model by bringing in an additional resource, uploading a flat file, have some more logic, is like the best starting point to start your Data Warehouse Cloud journey. And from there, you can then really think about building new data marts, building new data models, combining different data sources with the ultimate step of really having your logic, your business layer, your data warehouse in the cloud with Data Warehouse Cloud to represent your organization and bring business and IT together.
All right.
And
thank you, Oliver.
I would like to hand over.
Yeah, thank you, Oliver. So I want to get the pulse of the audience again. We have heard from Oliver on the key game changers as well as architecture about the SAP Data Warehouse Cloud, how it can help you accelerate those analytics. Now I want to understand from you, what is the biggest challenge while getting data into your data warehouse? And again, if you can put in your answers, that'll be great, so that I can understand the challenges that our audience is facing today. Is it A, that you have hand-coded integrations, so it takes a lot of time and effort whenever applications or data interfaces change? Is it B, that your IT team is overwhelmed with a long backlog of requests? As a result, your business teams have to wait for months for integration and insights? Is it C, that even with your current integration tool set, you need skilled resources to spend time weekly to correct errors and resolve issues? Or is it D, that data is not delivered reliably and on time, and sometimes the data sets are missing? Or is it E, other? And I would love to get your feedback to see what kind of challenges that you are seeing. And I'll just wait 40 more seconds so that everyone can get their input in. Yeah, so I think, wow. Yeah, so it seems like the challenges are actually spread evenly almost across the board, that almost 1/3 of you have hand-coded integration, so it takes long time whenever these application and data interfaces change. Around 20% have very nimble IT team, which is overwhelmed with a long backlog of requests. So business teams have to wait for integration and insights. And almost 26% you're having, even with the current integration tool set, you're seeing a lot of errors that your skilled resources have to fix on a weekly basis. So, and SnapLogic can help you with all of that. So if you haven't heard of SnapLogic already, what is SnapLogic? So SnapLogic is a single unified platform for all of your integration needs. It can help you not only integrate your enterprise application, but also various data sources all on a single platform. So it's a powerful and flexible platform that is powered by Iris AI. In fact, we were the first ones to introduce AI to the integration platform. So then how do you leverage AI inside the platform? As you are building these integration pipelines, Iris recommends not just next snap that you can, so snap is a pre-built connector that you can drag and drop to the canvas and then build your pipeline. So Iris not only recommends the next snap, but also entire pipelines by leveraging intelligence from all the successfully executed pipelines. So this is one of the key differentiating factors that SnapLogic has with respect to our competitors. The second key differentiating factor is the fact that as a platform, we have always focused on making it easy for non-coders to build integrations. Because we have taken an approach of low code and no code to this integration problem, and it improves the productivity of not just integration specialists, so that is people who can code, but also citizen integrators. So those might be people from your LOB teams or from our business analysts who might not know how to code, and even they can easily build pipelines and easily build integrations on our platform without writing a single line of code. And on the right, you see 5 key pillars of the SnapLogic Intelligent Integration Platform. The first one is application integration. With application integration, you can create automated business workflows across your enterprise applications. So for example, Salesforce to SAP S4 HANA, or SAP ECC to Workday HCM, or SAP SuccessFactors to any third-party HCM applications that you might have, such as JobWhite for your applications, Lattice for performance management, or ADP for payroll. And we also provide hundreds of pre-built connectors, also known as snaps, including a number of them for SAP applications, so that you don't have to go through API documentation to see what that API endpoint is doing. You can just drag and drop a snap onto the canvas, and you can quickly build those pipelines. The second key pillar of our platform is data integration. So you can get data from multiple sources. We handle different types of data velocity such as streaming, batch, real-time data. And we not only can source data, but can also transform data. So it's an ETL platform in combination with the application integration platform. And you can do all of that on a single canvas. The third key pillar of SnapLogic is API management. So you can create APIs from all the integration pipelines very easily. And you can also manage these APIs so that you can effortlessly expose them not just to internal teams, but also to partners and consumers. You can make it easy. So with this API management tool, we make it easy for API managers to manage access as well as define policies for various API endpoints such as rate limiting, request transformations. And on the flip side, API consumers can easily discover and then consume APIs using a developer portal. The fourth key pillar of our platform is B2B integration. So if you have EDI systems in your enterprise stack, we can easily integrate. You can easily integrate that using our platform with other systems of record. The fifth key pillar, and it's also an important one, is data engineering. Most, if not all of you, already have massive amounts of data about your consumers, about your products, your support data. But unless you have machine learning based predictive models, you are not putting that data to good use. So we provide you with tools so that you can easily prepare that data. You can leverage your own data. You can cleanse that data with the tools that we provide. And you can build your own machine learning models by leveraging data so that you can give those insights to customer facing teams and to the strategy teams so that they can predict things even before your customers act on it. So how do we do it? We help connect data and apps faster. So we help you connect anything, anytime, and anywhere. As I mentioned, we connect data sources, applications, also API endpoints. So if you have any custom applications that you are exposing via a REST or SOAP API, you can easily connect that to other enterprise systems. We also support a number of IoT protocols so that you can easily connect or get data from various IoT endpoints, so sensor data, and get that into your SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. And as I mentioned, you can also easily connect to partners who are using EDI systems by using our B2B integration functionality. We also support a variety of data velocity such as batch data, streaming data, real-time and event-based data. And regardless of where your data resides, whether it resides on-premises behind your own firewall or whether it resides in the cloud, or you have a hybrid model where their data is split, you can have integration runtime anywhere. So in an on-premises world or in the cloud world or in a hybrid fashion. Since we have a technical audience here, I want to quickly go over the architecture. So on the top left, you see SnapLogic that can be accessed from any browser. So regardless of whether your integration runtime is running in the cloud, in a Cloudplex, or whether it is running behind your own firewall in a Groundplex, you can always access your pipelines, you can manage them, you can see the performance of them, all of them through your browser. And you can use those integration runtimes to connect to cloud apps and data, such as SAP Data Warehouse Cloud or other applications such as Salesforce, or your data and applications that reside in public clouds such as AWS and Azure. Or you can connect to databases, on-premises databases, whether they are open source or proprietary. You can get data from big data sources, so Cloudera or Hadoop systems. In fact, we also have SnapLogic Extreme offering where we can process data in Spark mode and get that summarized data into Data Warehouse Cloud, SAP Data Warehouse Cloud very easily and quickly. You can also connect to on-premises apps very seamlessly using the SnapLogic platform. Now this shows the SAP ecosystem and how SnapLogic is a critical connective tissue that gets data from not just SAP applications but also from a variety of third-party sources. And I want to quickly talk about our engagement and our partnership with SAP. So almost 4 or 5 years back, we initially released our SAP HANA Snap, where we made it easy for our customers to easily get data and put data into SAP HANA. We extended that partnership with 2 years back with support for SAP Analytics Cloud. And now, when SAP came out with SAP Data Warehouse Cloud last year, we are working with them closely so that we can get not just SAP data, but all the third-party data seamlessly and easily into SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. So you can see, besides all the SAP endpoints that we support, you can also get data from third-party sources such as databases, as I mentioned, open source, closed source, and various data source in public cloud. You can get customer data and sales data from Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics, the CRM systems. You can get SCM data from a variety of third-party applications. And you can also get service and support data from popular applications such as ServiceNow and Zendesk using the SnapLogic platform. And we not only help you ingest that data, but also transform that data visually. So we provide a number of snaps or pre-built connectors to do that data transformation in a visual manner, such as aggregate, filter, group by, before you load that data into SAP Data Warehouse Cloud for your modeling and analytics. So how are we doing with respect to enabling these SAP customers? Well, we have had a number of joint customers with SAP, and as you can see on the right, these customers come from a variety of industries, such as AstraZeneca from healthcare, Del Monte and Danone, as well as GWF from retail. So Del Monte and Danone, they actually produce CPG goods, and GWF, they are the retailers, so they are on the other side of the retail function. We have PwC, one of the big 4 accounting firms, using both SAP and SnapLogic to integrate their applications and manage their data pipelines. Emirates, one of the biggest airlines in the world, as well as Arriva, both from the transportation sector. They are leveraging SAP and SnapLogic for their integration needs. And also large manufacturing companies such as Schneider Electric and Crown, they are also using SnapLogic and SAP for their application and data pipelines. Now, before I hand it over to Rich, I want to quickly talk about what is included in the SnapLogic's core platform. A number of our competitors provide many of these features as add-ons, but we provide these features as part of the core platform. So with SnapLogic, you get superior abstraction for all the database connectors. So these are not just your JDBC connectors. We have subject matter experts that have built those connectors, and many of them provide bulk functionality so that you can move large amounts of data from to and fro from these databases. We also provide visual ETL functionality, as I talked about, such as sort, aggregate, join, and filter, and you can go to our website to get that whole list, so that even business people who don't know how to code can still transform the data on our integration platform. And then finally, we also provide data engineering capability, so data prep functionality before you put that data for modeling, such as type converter, filling missing values, sampling, scaling, shuffle, match. You can do all of that on our platform with the core functionality. You also get ability to build your own machine learning models so that you can get those predictive insights to your support, customer success, and the business teams. With that, I will hand it over to Rich, and he's gonna quickly show us how easy it is to get data from a variety of third-party sources into SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. Rich?
Good afternoon, evening, or morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rich Dill, and thank you for attending this webinar. Am I coming through loud and clear?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm in the SnapLogic Designer. You can think of SnapLogic like a visual programming language where you define a process automation, whether that is responding to a sales order, whether it is loading a batch file, triggering an event from some outside service, the ability for you to interact with data at virtually any location and any volume without writing a lot of code to do it is a strength of the platform. Yesterday, in preparation for this demo, what I did was I built a simple little pipeline here that reads a file that contains the day's sales order. So you'll see here that I have a label that makes the process self-describing. I'm using a CSV file that I'm bringing in, and because it's a binary format of a file and I want to be able to work with it as text data inside of SnapLogic, I have a parser that converts it from binary into UTF 16, 8, or 32, depending on your preferences. Then we're going to go in here, and in the mapper, we're going to address the issue of transformation, validation, and simple situations where it's called X in the source and Y in the target. So in SnapLogic, I'm not writing code to define a business process or to load data. I'm defining a series of expressions. Think of it as configuring the process, all right? And here is where I'm inserting the data into DWC using the schema name and the table name that I want to address. And SnapLogic provides design time introspection. So it's always looking for, let's try that again. We're always looking for, to provide the user with whatever metadata is available from the endpoint. So when I go on down here and I click on this, wait for it, these are all of the tables that exist in that space that Oliver was speaking about. And if we go over here, you'll see here that in space management, I have a space called best run bytes. And I created these tables and populated them with data using SnapLogic with a series of pipelines that I'm going to demonstrate and show you as we go over the next few minutes. So these are the tables, and these are the record count that's in each of them. We go back to the designer. All right, so this is what we call a pipeline. It's an integration job that can be scheduled to run every 5 minutes, once a day, 3 times on Sunday, whatever, or it can be a triggered task. Any application that can do a REST GET can get data from SnapLogic. Conversely, any application that can do a REST POST can send data to the SnapLogic platform. So in this case here, I'm just doing a simple file read, transform, map, and insert into DWC using the SAP HANA Snap. Let's go over here to the catalog and take a look at what we have. So if we go down here to see SAP, you'll see that our support for SAP as a platform, as a technology, as a partner is very robust. The SAP Execute Snap allows us to interact with any externally exposed BAPI. Of course, we have the ability to interact with iDoc as a listener and a reader or writer. We have support for the Analytics Cloud, as well as HANA, which as the underlying architecture underneath Data Warehouse Cloud, you get access to DWC using the HANA snaps so that all the inserts, all the updates, all of the selects that you can do. So you can query this data as well as load it into the Data Warehouse Cloud as you do that. So these are the snaps, and typically I would go in and I would say, okay, I want to insert into the Data Warehouse Cloud. Now, for me to leverage design time introspection, I'm going to need to have an account. All right, so I'm going to have to select an account, which will allow me then to have now a live connection to the space that I've selected. And now that I have the space, I can go in and I can define the schema within the space. And then I can go in and I can access the schema and pull down all the tables that I'm interested in. If I want to put something into sales orders, I would select that, and I would just say insert sales orders. All right. How are we doing time-wise? Good. Okay. So that's how I would insert it into SAP. So if I'm going to get the file, I'm going to get it using a file reader. You'll see here that we have the ability to read a file system as ancient as an encrypted SFTP file system on an IBM mainframe, all the way up to state-of-the-art blob and cloud storage that's out there. So I tell customers, give me a port, give me a protocol, give me an IP address. I'll connect to that source. I'll acquire the data, transform it, and deliver it to a target without writing a lot of code using SnapLogic. So I can go in here, and I'm going to use just a local file for expediency's sake. I'm going to go ahead and grab this one here. And again, to make the pipeline self-documenting, I'm going to say read this file. All right. So now we need to parse it because it's in binary format. I'm going to grab the parser. And then finally, Iris, she finally caught up with me. You can tell I've been practicing this. So the mapper is a suggestion that she made for the interim. And because I didn't grab it in time, it disappeared. So I'll just do it again. And wait for it. There's the snap. Okay, so you'll see here that I have some data coming in. This icon changed color, indicating that it compiled correctly, that I had enough information in the property sheet for the snap to go out to the file system and pull the data. I'm going to go ahead and save the pipeline. And now what SnapLogic is doing is it's looking at each one of the objects here, and it's validating the correctness or the absence of data necessary to perform its assorted tasks. So you see that the mapper is in red. So I'm going to go in here to the mapper. And again, Iris, she's a smart girl. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Auto Link. And this is where machine learning models are exploited, along with my personal usage, my usage as an employee of SnapLogic, my usage as of the platform at large. All of these things are distilled into a knowledge base that we draw from, so that she goes in and sees that, the 5, 6 other times that I've done this operation, or by analyzing the data presented, that it's going to forecast that these are the correct associations from name to name. Now, because this is almost literal, it's not as illustrative as it could be if I had things that were of different names and whatnot. But it's a experience-based engine that gets better over time. You'll see here that I have a couple of differences that I have to deal with here. So my tax amount, to insert it correctly into the table, has to be a number, but it's coming out through the spreadsheet as a string. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in, and rather than using some archaic language or some fringe language which is not well known, if you can write an expression in Excel, you can use SnapLogic. The expression that I'm going to use here is a simple JavaScript expression called parse float, which is going to convert the string into a number. And as I type it, it would help if I spelled it correctly. Once I spell it correctly, instant feedback. That's the goal here. So I know exactly what's going on. I can see, here's my input data coming in. This is what it looks like coming in. And this is what it's going to look like as it's coming out. So I can do this. I would have to do this one more time for the net amount because it's the same thing. So I can either type it in, or if I want to do have a little more help from SnapLogic, I could go in here, put the cursor there, and then do parse float. And then all I have to do is just move a single, there we go. And again, each time I'm doing something in the expression builder, anytime I'm building an expression, SnapLogic is evaluating and saying, these are the results of what you've just done. Is that correct? So there's no waiting around. The other thing that's interesting is that no matter what format the data is at the source, you know, an Excel spreadsheet, an encrypted compressed file, an XML message, a SOAP document, or anything in between, SnapLogic automatically transforms that into JSON. The internal representation of data inside of SnapLogic is in a JSON format, so the ability for us to convert a SOAP message or an XML document or CXML or any of those variants into a JSON document and efficiently be able to move and transform that through the integration engine and ultimately create the output of a flat file, a JDBC insert, an XML message of its own, or another JSON document is very easily done in this platform. There's also only 3 data types: string, number, and sysdate time. So it's loosely coupled, loosely typed, which means that there's a high degree of reusability and functionality in this platform that is unmatched in more primitive approaches towards the integration challenge. So SnapLogic was built to be resilient to API evaluation, to changes, to data structures, to continue to function without falling over and dying because somebody added a new field to a table or added an API parameter and broke everything that's running. We tolerate that very easily. So what I'm doing here is it's YYY, MM, DD. Okay, so that's the kind of expression that I need to do to format the date, because I'm looking here and I'm looking at what the date format is, and it is year, month, day. So I need to convert that into a format. So when I save this now, let's see what happens. So now I can confirm the output of this. Okay. Oops, somebody put a bad record in there. Interesting. All right, so I've got bad data. The bane of every integration job out there. All right, so let's go back to the one that works, which is this guy here. And you can see here how I did it with a file that was not corrupt. So here is the expression. I did it twice here for the 2 date fields, and then twice here for the 2 number fields. If I go ahead and save this, you'll see that this works. So creating assets in DWC is a piece of cake, and there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. One of them is to use the execute snap and just literally cut and paste a SQL statement into this window here, and if you select validate and execute, when I save this, it's going to execute this SQL statement. So that's the quick and dirty thing. If somebody wants to go in and just throw a table in there, you can do it in seconds. All right. But what happens if I want to do an entire schema like I did to support the Best Bikes demo? Well, what I did was I started with a SQL spreadsheet that had all of the DEL statements and the comment statements necessary to be able to create the SQL. Let's take a look here. So you'll see here, and this is all, I pulled this off of SAP's GitHub repository for the Data Warehouse Cloud demo. I read that, parsed it into SQL statements. I had to change the schema name because the space that I'm putting it in my instance, in my space, DWC, is not what's in the SQL string that I'm getting from the GitHub one. Here's the execute statement, which is just passing it as a string. So any place that you see a combination of an equal sign and a drop-down list box or a list box of its own, this can be either a string, literal, or it can be a expression, a JavaScript expression, which means that you can have very dynamic reuse of these. So we're going to execute the DDL. If there's a problem with the create, the comment, we're going to write an error file. If everything is cool, we're just going to write a response file, and when we're done with that, it's probably going to come out and say okay or something like that. So running this will create, 10 or 15 or 25 tables, and then I run the individual pipelines here. This is what a successful pipeline execution looks like. I go in here, and you can see here I put in 334 rows of data when I created this pipeline, and I have very detailed information about the behavior of this. So the individual, the citizen integrator, the business analyst, the knowledge worker who's using this platform for self-service of accessing data, putting it into Data Warehouse Cloud, they're interested in the fact that I got 354 records. The developer, the bit-twiddling weenie like me, he's interested in knowing what's my memory footprint, how much CPU did I use, is there ways for me to make this better, faster, easier way of this program executing. So SnapLogic is like the SQL language. You can do simple stuff in seconds, or you can do incredibly sophisticated things if you know what you're doing. So it's great in the depth of capability of that. So what would happen if I wanted to take an entire database or a subsection of that database and put it into Data Warehouse Cloud? So this is an example where I'm not only, all I have to do is create a space and a schema in Data Warehouse Cloud, and this pipeline and its child will create an entire database and populate it with data with 5 or 6 snaps. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to Oracle. I'm going to use a snap called List Oracle Tables. And if we go over here, we can take a quick look. So you'll see here that I have all of these tables. So the amount of snaps that I have for an endpoint, whether it's file system, database, application API, transaction system, proxy, whatever, is always by the functionality, the features of the API, because that's who I talk to. So I'm going to get the schema called demo. And for the purposes of a quick demo, because this schema has hundreds, if not thousands of tables in it, again, I've got a simple little expression here saying, only give me the tables that contain the term accounts in them, so that's all I get. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass some information that I've gathered to another pipeline. So a pipeline can call another pipeline. So you can have an orchestration, a workflow, an automation based on traditional logic, contents of the payload, locality of where this is running. Is it running in Tokyo? Is it running in New York? All right. So here I'm going to kick off another pipeline, which is going to not only read the schema, but it's also going to read the data. And I've got 2 outputs coming out of the Oracle Select. So I've got a row data, the insert data that I'm going to use into HANA, and the DDL. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. So this is what the data looks like coming out of Oracle. Come on. The refresh on this, it needs to happen, I'm sorry. So I'm going to pull the data out of Oracle, and I'm going to put it into the HANA Data Warehouse Cloud using this snap. When I ran this, we go over here, let's go to Space Management. We go into the RGMS imports. You can see here that this is the data that I put into the Data Warehouse Cloud using the parent and child pipeline. It took, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes for this thing to run, to put that data in there. So the capability of SnapLogic to allow you to do the simple things in seconds, it does not constrain the advanced user who wants to do something more sophisticated, like how about a publish and subscribe model? When things happen in Salesforce, I want them inserted into the Data Warehouse Cloud right now. That's what this does. 3 snaps to it. Give me the event, format the output, insert it into Data Warehouse Cloud. You can't get more straightforward than that. The Ultra pipeline allows us to do event processing. You'll see here that I can determine whether these events are XML or JSON. I can format them appropriately, respond back to the calling application, and put that into HANA as it happens. Something like this can happen. The data will appear in HANA within 9 to 11 milliseconds. So the ability for us to handle volume at scale at any velocity without writing huge amounts of code is huge. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thanks, and I'll turn it back to you, Hanajay.
Thank you, Rich. We are almost, so we are at the top of the hour, so I want to just quickly go through the key takeaways. And so essentially for you to generate insights that your business needs, you need a consolidated view of all of your data and advanced analytics in SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. And you need to source data, any data at any time using the SnapLogic Intelligent Integration Platform. Before we move to questions, I want to quickly talk about some of the resources that we can leverage. All of that are available to you as part of attachments and links. And you can actually sign up for free trial from SAP as well as from SnapLogic, and you can download our data sheet specifically for Data Warehouse Cloud, and you can again get that from the attachment section. Now we have a couple of questions. I know we are a little bit over, so let me just help answer some of the top questions. So the first one here is, and any other questions that we don't answer here, we'll reach out and individually, so that we can let everyone know what the answers are to those questions. So the first question is that SAP provides a lot of native tools such as CPI, PO to connect to data warehouses. So what is the differentiating factor of SnapLogic? So the key differentiating factor is that we help you connect to a lot of third-party sources, data and application sources very seamlessly. Then there is one question around, okay, what is the difference between a Cloudplex and a Groundplex? So the easiest way to see that is anything that runs in your own domain is a Groundplex, so that is behind your own firewall. If something is running in SnapLogic's domain, that's a Cloudplex. Then I guess there are some
maybe
other,
I can also take a question. There were two questions around Data Warehouse Cloud and SAP Analytics Cloud, whether they're competitors. I would actually say that they are best friends, right? So if you have one system, maybe you just want to do some blending of data, then SAP Analytics Cloud is the way to go. Or if you have analytics within S4, for example, but if you want to do more complex data management tasks, if you want to join, if you want to partition, if you want to set up your business layer and tons of more data management topics, then Data Warehouse Cloud basically complements SAP Analytics Cloud and really covers a bigger part of the data value chain.
All right. So thank you everyone for coming to the webinar today. Any unanswered questions, we will reach out individually to answer them. Thank you again, and have a great, wonderful rest of the day.